What's up, everybody? It's Jordan, and welcome to the Sports Behind Show. And on today's video, I am live on YouTube like always, and I will be continuing my series of doing a semi mock draft. Now, today's mock draft is of the Tennessee Titans, and yesterday, they were announced in a swap of first-round picks with Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins have the 18th pick, so the Titans will actually be drafting at the 18th pick instead of the 22nd pick. They swapped first-round picks, and Tennessee Titans gave Miami Dolphins Isaiah Wilson, an offensive tackle from Georgia, who was drafted by the Titans last year in the first round. So, the Titans no longer have this pick. They did as of like yesterday, morning. But, with that swap of the first round, they do no longer have this trade. But I'll go ahead and do this one anyway, though. So, like I said, they have the 22nd pick, which, technically, they have the 18th now. But to me, somebody I really think they need to get is Kwity Paye from Michigan, the edge rusher. He's one of the best edge rushers of the class. And I think he would be a great piece to the Titans. He's one of the best edge rushers in the class. They need edge rusher. That's probably their biggest need. And Kwity Paye is going to be one of the best players available here. Now, that's the difference between, swapping picks at 18 and 22. Is 22, Kwity Paye may not be there, or Azeez Ojulari. It's not a guarantee that he'll be there. But you go to 18, I feel pretty confident at least one of those two guys will be there, maybe even both. So for the Titans to do that, that's pretty good. I know you only swapped a couple of picks in the first round, but the fact that Isaiah Wilson, was frustrated and even said on Twitter that he was no longer going to be a Titan, he didn't want to play for them anymore. And you swap first-round picks, you have a much better chance to get one of those top edge rushers. I would say that's a pretty good deal for the Tennessee Titans. So edge rusher to me in the first round I think would be best for the Tennessee Titans. So in the second round, I have them getting Tyson Campbell, the corner from Georgia. One thing to look at is all these mock simulators I do for each NFL team are from ProFootballNetwork.com. They're from a mock simulator. It's not necessarily who I believe will be there, who believe will, fall or, be reached or anything like that. There are no trades in here, and also compensatory picks are included, even though I do not believe they have been officially released yet. But they could use some cornerback help as well. Tyson Campbell probably should not be here. He's one of the best corners in the draft. Him or Sante Samuel Jr., they can get corners, I think, a fantastic pick. By around, the 53rd pick in the draft, those type of guys are going to be some of the best players available. And it's also a team need, so you can't really go wrong there. In the third round, 85th pick overall, I had them taking Clemson wide receiver Amari Rodgers. Now, Amari Rodgers was very impressive during the Senior Bowl week and the game in practice. He was really good with Clemson. Had a really good season with Trevor Lawrence. It'll be interesting to see if Amari Rodgers falls this far. With his Senior Bowl performance, I wouldn't be surprised if he was picked a tad bit earlier here. But they could really use a wide receiver. I really like A.J. Brown a lot. I think he's one of the more underrated receivers in the NFL. But I think they need to get Tannehill, another wide receiver, so they can have a pretty nice young tandem and A.J. Brown and Amari Rodgers. This pick is kind of interesting here. My next pick, they have a third-round pick, the 100th pick overall. I have them taking Andre Cisco, the safety from Syracuse. I know they have Kevin Byard. He's one of the best safeties in the NFL. But I think they could use just a tad bit more help. And if you get Byard and Cisco, I think that could be a top 5 safety duo in just a year or two. I really like Cisco. I think he's one of the best safeties in the draft. And, that would be a really, really nice secondary in the future if you get Tyson Campbell and Andre Cisco in your secondary. Just start this draft. I think that may be an interesting pick, but if it were to happen, I would really like it for the Titans there. So with their fourth-round pick, they take defensive tackle Marvin Wilson, the 126th pick overall from Florida State. Really like this pick here. Like I said, they could really use the defensive line help some. Marvin Wilson would be a great pickup. Also, someone to watch out for is Jalen Tallman from Pittsburgh. I think he's going to be great as well. Darius Stills from West Virginia. There's a couple of decent, pretty good defensive tackle is kind of around this range, around the 125, 150 range, around that. I think the Titans should maybe look at if they're going tackle in the 4th or maybe even tackle in the 5th. But to me, I think that would be a really nice pickup there, and I think it really help the Titans defensive line. I know, like I said, kind of traded Isaiah Wilson to the Miami Dolphins. I think they'll probably try to attack offensive tackle and free agency to try to maybe get somebody better, somebody for their future, or something like a young guy. But it'd be really interesting to see what they do in free agency. In the 5th round, I had them taking Ellerson Smith, the edge rusher from Northern Iowa. Ellerson Smith is really underrated. I think he's one of the more underrated edge rushers in the class. And I think that'd be a great pick. I know I already took a edge rusher in the 1st round, but Ellerson Smith in the 5th round, you just cannot pass on him. It's going to be really interesting where he goes because, edge rusher class is so low, you have no idea where some of these players are going to land. But I think he would be an amazing duo with him and Kwity Paye in years to come with Tennessee Titans. So in the 6th round, I had them taking another wide receiver, Anthony Schwartz, the wide receiver from Auburn. He's a speedster. He's arguably the fastest wide receiver in this draft. I wouldn't be surprised if he was drafted way earlier, probably maybe even around the 4th round when it's all said and done, because he'll probably have an insane 40-yard dash time. But if they can get him and Amari Rodgers with already having A.J. Brown, I think that'd be a really nice young wide receiver group for the Tennessee Titans. And their last pick of the draft, they have a 6th round pick. I have them taking Felipe Franks, a quarterback from Arkansas. I know this may be a tad bit early for Franks because it's not even going to guarantee that he'll be drafted. But I like Franks a lot. I think he'll be a pretty good backup, and it's not guaranteed, who the Tennessee Titans backup quarterback will be. Franks reminds me a decent amount of Jeff Driscoll. He's a bigger guy. He's really athletic. He has a really strong arm, but it's just not really accurate. I think he's kind of a project, but I think he'd be a pretty good backup in the NFL. Maybe he can come in, occasionally win a game or two, but I had them taking Felipe Franks, the quarterback there, in the 6th round, and they did not have a 7th round pick, so that is their last pick of the draft. So we'll go over these picks here one more time. In the 1st round, edge rusher Kwity Paye from Michigan. In the 2nd round, Tyson Campbell, the corner from Georgia. In the 3rd, wide receiver Amari Rodgers from Clemson. Also in the 3rd, Andre Cisco, the safety from Syracuse. In the 4th, defensive tackle Marvin Wilson from Florida State. In the 5th round, Ellerson Smith, edge rusher from Northern Iowa. In the 6th, Anthony Schwartz, the wide receiver from Auburn. And their last pick of the draft in the 6th round, they take Felipe Franks, the quarterback from Arkansas. Thank you all so much for watching. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it. And I will see you next time on the Sports Johan Show.